Hey everyone, we are getting ready to record the 8th episode of the FNG podcast, and it's going to be on books that we love and that helped us along our writer career and things that inspired us. And with that, I thought, maybe it's a good opportunity for us to look into books that we actually really enjoyed that helped us become better authors. And so with that, I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of go through some things that helped me and that made me excited about writing and helped me with some of the fundamentals that maybe I struggled with because I didn't pay attention in high school to high school writing or my college writing classes. So I just kind of wanted to go through a few of those and really things that just made me who I am in my writing career. So with that, we'll start off with the first one. And this is, I literally, I can tell you, I picked this book up because it was only this thick. That was my main function in getting this book. And I had read some stuff by Ben Bova and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thought, you know what, maybe he has a pretty good insight on writing. He seems like he's fairly well developed in the genre. So, a little bit of an older author, older title, but it's one of the things that I went through. And as I read through this book, and this is an older copy, I've given away multiple copies of this to people who wanted to write. So anytime I run across one in a used bookstore, I always pick it up. But it does a really good job of just kind of breaking down the science fiction genre and what needs to be included as far as tropes and what needs to be included as far as character development and world development and how to do that without, having pages and pages of exposition, which you find in a lot of kind of old-timey science fiction, and really how to just craft a good story. So I love this book. I thought it was just one of those things that allowed us authors to kind of it seemed like it was really cherry picked wisdom on things that I really struggled with as far as knowing how to put together a character arc or something like that. It's a fast read. There's multiple short stories in here that give you the idea of what development should look like and shows you kind of, the different pieces, how to put the Lego blocks together to make it all work right. It didn't waste my time. It allowed me to kind of quickly pick up on some of the things that I needed to pick up on as far as how to write. I will say my writing was pretty rough when I started reading that. It was still pretty rough when I got done with it, but it was better. It was at least, I took the 2x4 and I kind of roughed off the edges and started making it into something that might be a finished piece of furniture. So second book was, if you haven't ever heard of it, there's a group called 20 Books to 50K. It's now defunct. I think it's now Author Nation. But 20 Books to 50K for a number of years was just the indie author space to be at. And it was a conference in Vegas. One of those kind of just unique, everything came together at the right spot. And I just happened to be able to be lucky enough to be there. I got to stand next to authors that I thoroughly enjoyed and guys that wanted to give back to the author space. I met a number of different people there. Larry Correa, Jeffrey Haskell, Rick Partlow, kind of my introduction to all of those guys. I had ended up having coffee with Joshua Dalzell, which was, I'm just having coffee with this guy. I didn't even know who he is. I finally looked at his name tag and it's Joshua Dalzell. There's somebody I really aspire to write like. And so, just a super great opportunity to kind of meet some different people to, be a part of their world a little bit. And they were more than happy to share that, and went and played Top Golf with Josh Hayes and Scott Moon, and just a really cool opportunity to kind of hang out with some people. I think Blake Peel was there too. So, as a guy who'd never published, to be kind of a part of that and just to be kind of welcomed in and hey, we want to help you along your way and bring you up and do the things. It really made a difference to me. And so anyway, I'm getting off subject, but that 20 Books to 50K took me to a place where, and I always get his name wrong, so I'm going to read it off. It's Maxwell Alexander Drake wrote this book, and I think it has a different cover now. If you're looking at it for it on Amazon, it's Dynamic Story Creation. It's a lot less of a this kind of cover. It's more academic looking, but it's a book that I loved it because the classes he gave at 20 Books, which I went to I think all three of his classes, he broke everything down via Star Wars, which, holy cow. I mean, you talked about a kid from the 70s, if he can relate it to Star Wars, I am going to learn from it. So it was very easy for me to get into what he was talking about. He is one of those guys that does a great job of breaking things down into tiny little pieces and making them digestible. And this book does exactly the same thing. It does it in a way that you can go through here and you can go, man, this is what I want to see. This is what I want to do. in my book. I talked a lot about plot and story, and it's one of those kind of indispensable things that really helped me take that next leap and really kind of figure out the type of writer I wanted to be. And so I'll also mention on 20 Books to 50K. 20 Books to 50K, as far as I know, all of their videos are still up on YouTube. You can go look for them on YouTube, and they are in playlists by year. So you can go and listen to the same videos that I did by Maxwell Alexander Drake, and get the same information that I did, sitting in the Smoky Vegas casino. So those are just exceptional tools to reach out and grab. And as you're working through your author's journey, you'll find that there's things like, man, I just don't know how to do, like, I understand theme kind of, but I don't really understand, like why it matters to my story. And, I think as an American, I watched 100,000 hours of TV by the time I was 7 years old. So, you understand all of those things subconsciously, but I think to bring that into your consciousness is difficult. So, those are things that I think we all struggle with sometimes, or maybe there's just little bits that you didn't pick up on, as you were being trained, in school. So yeah, I would mention both of those. The last one I want to mention is My Story Can Beat Up Your Story. This was suggested on a couple different videos that I watch on YouTube, and I watch a lot of videos that have to do with screenwriting. And I think that as novels tend to be more, I won't say they're audiobook focused, but they have to definitely think about audiobooks anymore. So as you're writing your novel, it really becomes much more like a screenplay. And this is one of those books that I think really helps with that. I don't know that it's specifically written, it's written for screenplays, but it also, so much of that translates over into a really good story for a novel. And I think that's what a modern readership is looking for, is something that plays out more like a movie in their mind, rather than maybe something that, from 100 years ago with less descriptions and everything else. So something to pick up. I've worked my way through the first couple of chapters. I'm really enjoying it and still learning from it. And I would say that's one thing that you should be doing, is always trying to hone your craft. The better craftsmen we can become, the better off we're going to be as writers. And, what I'm finding is this is a dynamic field. And one of those things that you have to kind of keep abreast of is that the field is always changing. And if you're self-published, you're marketing, you're doing all of the things that to kind of keep up with the algorithm. So yeah, try to always be learning and finding something out there that, spend 15 minutes in this, a week. And, you can learn from, you could always be learning. So that's one thing that I picked up in my last career, and I'm going to carry it on to this one too. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Hope everybody enjoyed the time. We have a Discord. We have all the likes and subscribes and all the whatever else goes on. I'd love to hear what you guys use for books that you find important, that maybe change the way that you write. And, yeah, thanks a lot. We'll catch you later. Bye-bye.